Hello, everybody. Welcome to 321 No Kiddin. Bobby the Awesome here with Miss Vicki Le Mere. And one of the things that I'm most excited about our conversation is what you said right before I hit record. You said you want to share the message of happiness and your journey to get to happiness and to let people know there's different ways. And that's how I feel about recovery. So I think this is going to be a great conversation. And you also, you said it's our right. So I can't wait to dive into that. But before we get into the nitty gritty, Vicki, would you like to introduce yourself and give us a little history?
Sure. Hi, my name is Vicki Le Mere, and I actually just turned 77. And I hate to even say that because I feel about 50, I think.
You look less than 50.
Oh, thank you. And I have had no plastic surgery, so I'm a plastic surgeon's worst nightmare. But I've been able to, in my life, learn beauty tips, the secrets, and things that I've done along the way to not only look good, but to feel good on the inside. And I think it's more important to feel good than to look good. I mean, when you feel good, it shows in your face when you're happy. So we all, if we can learn, and I hopefully can share with your listeners and your viewers some of my beauty tips and secrets that have helped me to become absolutely happy in life. And that's our right. So, we were born to be happy, not to suffer. So I'd love to share those things with your listeners and your audience.
Well, I'm grateful for this topic, and it sounds like it was started off as a rough road to get you to go on this journey to discover happiness. So do you want to share maybe some of those? You refer to yourself as a victor, so maybe share some of what you'd like to about what you've overcome.
Yes, thank you for asking that. So, I was a victim in my life for the first, 37 years, actually. I had an abusive childhood. My father used to knock us around, and my mother as well. And then, of course, I married at 16. I got pregnant and married an abusive guy. And, he would walk in the front door and punch me in the face, throw me down the stairs. It was just, but I thought I deserved it, because I had such a low self-esteem and low feeling of myself that, and my mother told me, when I got pregnant, only bad girls get pregnant. And so I figured I was a bad girl. My life's over. Okay, this is what I have to take. And, so I had 2 children with him. And then I got involved with another abusive person, had another child. My 3rd child had brain damage when she was born. So I have a special needs daughter. And so that was another challenge in my life, but my life seemed to slap me around like a rag doll. It was like, I just was blaming everybody else in my life for my life not working. And so I was looking in life for, I wanted to find peace and happiness. Peace was my first word because I couldn't seem to find that. And the reason it was avoiding me is because I was looking outside myself, always outside, and so when I finally found this practice of Buddhism, when I would tell my seniors, my husband, my mom did this, my dad did that, blah, blah, blah. And they took my finger and went, I went, what? It's me? What do you mean me? It's you. It's your life. You attracted these things. This is your karma. And this is, things that you brought into your life. But the good news is once I took responsibility for all that, can I say shit?
You can say whatever you want.
Was happening to me, it just started to turn around. It's like for the first time in my life, I controlled the vertical. I controlled the horizontal. It's like it's so empowering to take responsibility for the things that are happening to you in your life. And it's so difficult because it doesn't feel like your fault. You don't feel like, they did this to me. I didn't. No, it doesn't matter. That's all irrelevant. We have to own it. And once we own it, we're in control of what happens in the future. So it's basically cause and effect. And we can make the causes, to make our lives better.
Vicki, I can think of a bunch of examples in my life where once I learned this lesson of the reframe, even when we think it's everybody else's fault, but this show is to showcase you. So I'm wondering, can you give us an example of what I'll call it standard? I won't call it normal, but standard thinking would be where we're thinking that someone did something to us. Can you share an example maybe from your life of how it would normally feel like something was being done to us, but how it really is your responsibility or you have control over it? Can you think of anything like that?
Well, sure. Being in an abusive marriage, you get, hit or pushed or shoved, or, you're told you're ugly, you're stupid, you're fat, you're, all these horrible things. And you think, the other person is wrong, but you can't own it, because I think also it has a lot to do with your self-esteem. Until you can feel better about yourself and raise yourself out of this dungeon. I mean, I kind of feel like when before I started to do I call it my human revolution. Before I started to do, I was in the basement looking up at my problems, and they were bigger than me, and I couldn't even figure out how I was going to get out of this abusive marriage. I had no money, no job. I wasn't allowed to work because he was so insanely jealous, and but it wasn't until I learned how to raise my life condition. Whereas now, I feel like I'm in the penthouse looking down at my problems, and they're easy. It's like before I would fall in a pit and it was so hard to climb out of it. But now it's like a bump in the road. So once you recognize these negative forces in your life, I call them my devils. Once you see the devils, they have no power. They're like throwing water on a witch. They shrivel up and go away. So, but when you buy into them, where they're saying you're not good enough, you're not this enough, you deserve this. No. But once you can go, shut the fuck up. I am gonna be everything that I want to be, because you deserve that. But that comes from turning this thing around where you listen to the negative voices instead of realizing them for what they are and just flip them off. Don't let them, but you got to recognize them. And that takes time, and that takes work. I mean, developing your spirituality is as hard as exercising your body. So we feel like we have to do 3 things every day: exercise our body, our minds, and our spirit. And whatever that means for you. For me, I chant, and I do it in the morning and night every day, not just on Sundays, or So, but it's something like it's like taking my life and plugging it into this huge battery that recharges me. So I've got this power. Every day I can use this power to help me get through the day and to keep these negative voices at bay. Get out of here.
That is such an interesting, you just unpacked a lot of things here. So I want to recap and dig in. I love that visual of, I think people think still on some level, some folks, it's still a little woo-woo, or what's the point of meditation, or what's the point of exercise, or whatever. And you using that example of like recharging a battery, like kind of take some of the pain and resistance away, just for me in the way you described that. And then what I think I heard is the first step to go from the low, low, low is to listen to the negative voices, not to listen to them to agree, but to recognize that it's negative voices and it's bullshit just kind of backing in your ear. Is that what you said in your own way?
Yes. A lot of people might think of it like a good angel and a bad angel. Like sometimes I'll go, oh, you're stupid. And then my other voice goes, shut the fuck up. I am not stupid. So it's like I have the good angel and the bad angel. And sometimes they have conversations. And so, just recognizing the negative is the first step to getting rid of it. And I'm not going to say it's easy to build. I mean, you can't pick up a dumbbell and go, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. How come I have no muscle? Like what's with the no muscle? You got to work at the spirit too. You got to really, I'm not going to tell you that I love sitting chanting for hours. And I don't chant for hours, but I do try to do, at least an hour a day. I know what it does for me. So that's what makes me do it. It's just like going to the gym, getting there is the hardest part. Once you're there, you can go through the routine. But I think it's the same with our spirit. We have to exercise it every day. We have to pray, whatever way you pray, just spend some time doing it. And just, you'll see the results. It'll awaken this beautiful Buddha nature that you have, or your godlike self. It's there. It's lying dormant, waiting for you to awaken it. It can't, it's like the vibration of chanting is in the universe. It's like electricity. You can't see it. And we couldn't harness it till Thomason invented the light bulb, right? And so it's the same with your spirit. The vibration's there. You just have to tap into it and pull it into your life. So it's just waiting for us.
So your way of tapping into it was through Buddhism. Do you want to take us through how you got introduced to it? What did that journey look like for you?
Yeah, it was a lifelong quest of mine, like I said, to be happy and to find peace. And so after these 2 abusive marriages, 3 children, I'm on my own, and I'm just really seeking, and so I did all these different things like Life Spring, transcendental meditation, positive thinking. I even touched on Scientology, and everything was like, it was like, okay, well, this sounds okay, but it's not what I'm looking for. It's not the answer. It's not the key. And I even converted to Judaism. And, I hated that as much as I hated Christianity. I didn't like going to shul. I didn't like going to church. I always found it depressing. And so when I went to my first Buddhist meeting, I was like, that aha moment, this is it. I need a practice where someone says, if you do this, you'll get this result. So like, if you stand on your head and eat a banana, you're going to become happy. I'll do it, because I want to be happy. So it doesn't matter. I think there's different practices that people can try and do. But for me, Buddhism worked because, first of all, there's no guilt. There's no rules. It's cause and effect. Cause and effect. Whatever you do is going to come back to you. And it's all about world peace, helping other people. I can't tell you the high you get when you can help a person overcome their problems. And that's part of what I do. What we do is this kind of Buddhism is all designed for people to share happiness, to one by one. We feel like world peace will be created that way, one by one person becoming happy, not wanting to hate the other person. Families have problems. We all have internal family. I think we all do. I don't know. I didn't say we all, but I know I do too. But I made a determination years ago that my family was not going to become estranged, where people didn't talk to each other for years, and having 3 children, 4 grandchildren, and 3 great grandchildren, I have this huge family, and there's always stuff to chant about, shall we say. What do I have to go ahead?
I'm not familiar with chanting through this lens. Like my first thought, and you said it's not transcendental meditation, like where you have the mantra or whatever it's called. So what does that look like? Is it
yeah,
the same as a prayer?
Yes. So what we do is there's many different sects of Buddhism. Okay. So there's many causes you can make in your life. There's thought, word, and deed. So thought is, I can think, I love you, or I can say I love you, or I can show you I love you. Same thing with hate. I can think, oh, I hate her. And then I can, do something nasty to you. And then, but each of those are causes. Deed being the greatest cause. Thinking something is a cause, but doing something is the greatest cause. So to actually say the words, these are the words that we chant, is Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. And it's a chant that means the mystic law of cause and effect through sound or vibration. So, and when we chant that, we tap into this, I don't know, something out there. It just, brings you this power inside, and it awakens this life condition inside of you that's been sleeping maybe. So, that's what we do. We chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. And then we do this book, crazy book. This is the Literary of Soka Gakkai is the value creating society that we belong to. And, we're in over 200 countries in the world. I don't know how many millions of people chant, but we do this. It's a chapter and a half of the Lotus Sutra. So crazy word. It sounds like this. Myoho Renge Kyo Binpandai ni Niji Sasanju Samayanjo Neki Gojari Jobuji Dinamareo Gojire Manangai Nono Isaijo. So obviously I know it by heart because I do it every day and every morning and every night. It takes 2 minutes to do it. But it's a description of enlightened life in Sanskrit. So you don't need to know exactly what every word means for it to have meaning in your life. Like you can sing Frère Jacques, dormez-vous. You don't have to know French to know, what the song, it just is fun. So kind of like that. You don't have to know the meaning of every word. This is Sanskrit. It's ancient Indian and Chinese. So if you know do you want me to tell you a little history of Buddhism? Is that okay?
That would be great. I'm glad that you said, because I knew Sanskrit was more, what did you call it? Indian?
I think it's Indian and Chinese, actually.
Yeah, I was hearing a lot of the Chinese as you were talking and singing. So yeah, I would love a little history.
Yeah. So many years ago, there was the original Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha or Siddhartha Buddha, who you remember sat under the Bodhi tree and became enlightened. That's kind of a story most people know. But they might not know that he was born a prince. And his family, when he turned, I think it was 16 or 17, gave him this piece of land, the most beautiful piece of land on their property overlooking the river and everything. And he said, no, I don't want any material things. I want to find the answer so that all people can become happy. And he left with nothing and went on this journey where he, everybody was telling him what the key to becoming enlightened was. You've got to sleep on a bed of nails. And he did that, and that didn't. oh no, you've got to walk on fire. And he walked on fire. And then and then someone said, no, you have to starve yourself. You can't eat for 2 weeks, nothing, no water, nothing. So he did that. And I think that was the final thing that he did before he was so exhausted. And so he just sat under this bodhi tree, and he was, sitting there cross-legged. And all of a sudden he had this vision of life, of everyone's life, of the connectiveness of everyone's life. And then he saw many lifetimes of many people besides himself. He could see many lifetimes that he'd lived and other people had lived. But I think the most important thing was this connectedness of all life, of everything, humans, trees, animals, everything. So from that enlightened state, I guess he was hallucinating, but he started writing these sutras. And I think he wrote over 10,000 sutras. And so this that I showed you is a chapter and a half of the Lotus Sutra. That was his final teaching. So throughout his life, he traveled and taught his teachings. But he also said people can only learn what they're ready to hear, So in the beginning of his teachings, it was thought that women could not become enlightened. Women had to die and be reborn as men to become enlightened, if you can believe that. We've come along. Anyways, but at the end of his life, he said, forget everything I've taught you. Now, this is the truth. All people are equal. I am no different than you. We're all equal, women and men. And in 500 years, someone will come who will condense my teachings so that all people can become enlightened. So 500 years later, along comes Nichiren Daishonin. And Nichiren Daishonin is a fisherman. And he also, he sets out to find what is the best religion? Is it Catholicism? Is it Muslim? Is it Buddhism? And he studies all religions, and he finds the Lotus Sutra, and he says, this is it. This is the highest teaching that I've ever discovered. And he condenses his teachings, because each of the sutras that he teaches start with Myoho Renge Kyo. So Myoho Renge Kyo. So and then the second verse again, Myoho Renge Kyo. So he takes that and he goes, okay, that's the key. He begins every chapter with Myoho Renge Kyo, mystic law of cause and effect through sound. So he adds Nam, which means devotion, to the mystic law of cause and effect. And that's where he comes up with Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. So this, I have to tell you, I didn't believe it. I was singing at a nightclub. It was one of my things that I do. I entertain. And this girl and I were hosts, and she was singing more than me. And I was jealous, So I was telling this girl that was there, who's an amazing singer, who we would bring up to sing. I said, she's singing more than me. And she says to me, you need a chant. And I go, chant? What are you talking? She goes, you need a chant. I said, chant what? And so she writes the words down for me. And I'm in my miserable time of life, where I'm jealous and insecure and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I go home and I take this little piece of paper out and I start saying the words, and the floodgate opens. I just start crying and weeping, and I don't understand. Why is this making me cry? And so I called her. I said, I don't understand. Why am I crying? She said, because you have so much suffering in you, and it's just opened your heart so that you can allow all this suffering you've been holding inside of you. And so that was my first experience. And then I went to her house for a meeting, and she lived under the Hollywood sign, under the H. And she said, yeah, I was given this house. I go, what? Get out of here. She goes, no, you get benefits when you chant, things, good things. I go, get out. She goes, yeah, I don't pay any rent. They just asked me to take care of the house. And so, anyway, that's how I started. And it's like, wow. And then I went on a journey. I mean, the first year I chanted, I had cancer, and they were ready to, they'd done a biopsy and they're ready to go back. And I chanted for it to go away. And then went back the day of the surgery. They said there's nothing there. It must have miraculously disappeared. And I'm going, yeah, right. I don't think so. But I still, it's like we don't gain faith. It's not a blind belief, faith in Buddhism. It's because of actual proof. We get actual proof of things changing in our life. And that's what makes our faith stronger. So, you have a true religion is for the people. It has scientific proof, theoretical proof, and actual proof. So Buddhism has those three things, which is wonderful. And I'm not trying to convert anyone but I'll tell you, there's a lot of Catholics and Jewish people that chant, and you can add it to whatever you believe already. It's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. I'm sorry if I went on too long about that.
No, I was very interested in this. So my perception on Buddhism is basically be a good human being. That's it. Just be a good human being to yourself, to others. Being in a 12-step program, and I've told this story probably many times, but the 11th step is sought through prayer and meditation to improve your conscious contact with God as you understand him. So in 2019, I started going to church, and the pastor's up there, and I really loved, he was a great storyteller, because I don't like all the reading and reading the Bible, for example, is not for me. I don't have that reading comprehension, whatever. So him telling the story is great. But he said on this one week, and I thought it was the best thing he's ever said. He's like, you're not being a good Christian if you show up here once a week and then go out in the parking lot and flip somebody off because they cut in front of you. And it was very powerful, and it stuck with me. And I'm like, yeah. So I looked at Recovery Dharma, and I actually still go to Recovery Dharma meetings when I can. And the Noble Truths and the Wise Way, and we actually podcasted about it on here. I did the book and all of that. And that's been my real only exposure to Buddhism. But I'm attracted to it too, because and it's my interpretation, and I get to have my interpretation, which is kind of cool too. Between the book and understanding it. And then I have a friend who's, he has his doctorate in divinity and theology, and he's an ex-priest. And he's very into I don't know, pieces every step, and another monk. Right. And that's like my limited exposure. So everything you just shared, I really understood a little bit better because you told it to me in a nice story format, and I get it. Never dove into chanting, but I really love what you're saying is that miracles happen. So whether it's some people have law of attraction that they think, some people are Joe Dispenza. The more I hear and the more I research from my guests and just listening, I have a feeling it's all the same, but just different ways to get there. That's my perspective. So understanding that there's this beautiful avenue that saved your life, it sounds like in many ways, not just the cancer. You just explained it wonderful. So I'm sorry, I went on a little tangent there, but.
No, it's wonderful. And you're right. It's all about the causes we make. Like I notice myself when I'm driving, sometimes somebody cuts me off and I'll go, do you really want to make that call? That's your mouth. Call that person now, whatever. Because then somebody will call you that. And then, it comes back to you more full than what you put it out there. So you want to be careful of what you say, what you think. It's really hard to control your thoughts. The thoughts, I'm not there yet. I'm not enlightened. I feel like there's times when I feel, when I'm chanting, I actually feel this white light, and this amazing feeling where everything is okay. Everything is beautiful. It's a divine feeling. And I can't even describe it. And I go, oh, don't go away, don't go away. Like, please don't. I just want the feeling to stay there, like the light and everything. It's just like a different realm. And it doesn't last, but it's there. And I do get to experience it. And so I wanted to talk about happiness, if I could, because I think it's, it's so important. And first of all, Buddhism says that happiness is our right. We deserve to be happy. So there's two kinds of happiness. There's relative happiness and absolute happiness. So relative happiness is like getting, you got the cars, the money, you got the boyfriends you want, you get the houses, whatever, all the material, all the stuff that's relative in your life doesn't make you happy. That's proven every day by these stars who take their lives. They have everything. They have fame, money, fortune, homes, cars, but they're still, because they haven't filled this void inside of them. Nothing outside here makes you happy. Nothing you gain. It can add to your happiness, but it can't be your happiness. It's just like another person going, I want you to make me happy. Sorry, I can't. You have to you have to come to a relationship with your happiness already intact. Then you're ready to be a full relationship. So absolute happiness does not depend on anything out here. It only depends on this feeling you have inside. And as I expressed earlier, the greatest way to get this feeling is to help other people. I mean, when I share Buddhism with somebody that's suffering, oh my God, it's like the best drug. There is no drug that has a better high than that, And I've tried a few. Nothing. I have never shot anything. It's just that. But I've been through my low points in life as well, and so to me, to have something that you can rely on, that when you need to be, you need to charge your battery, you need to feel good. Even doing an interview, I want my higher self to do the talking for me. I want to be able to touch people's hearts, to tell them that you deserve to be happy. No matter where you are, it doesn't matter what you look like, how you feel now. Inside of you is this jewel, this wonderful golden life that you can awaken, through your own spirituality.
That's so beautiful. That is beautiful. And that's exactly why I don't script or do the same questions for every guest anymore, because I don't think that's the right way to go. I think it is a higher self, just like writing your book. I'm sure you probably experienced that as well too. It wasn't just Vicki writing the book. It was what was supposed to be in the book is in the book. Is that true?
Very true. Sometimes I lecture at different meetings, and I don't know what I'm going to say. So I just pray you do the talking for me, because I don't know what to say, please. So I just kind of turn it over to my higher self, and things come out of my mouth and people go, you were amazing. Oh my God, what you said. I go, what did I say? I don't even remember.
Yes.
So because it wasn't coming from me. And sometimes when I'm chanting, I get the most enlightened ideas, and I know it's coming from a higher self. It's not coming from Vicki. She got in her own way a lot. I have to get out of my own way.
I know that feeling.
Yes.
So can you tell us, since the book is there, and I want to make sure that we talk about that a little. And it's so funny because I am the least beauty conscious person like ever. I'm pretty sure. I don't know how to put on. Oh, thank you. I don't know how to put concealer on. I don't know. I didn't even know that you can make your face look different shapes and stuff. Like if it wasn't for social media, I didn't even know that what makeup did or anything like that. And we talked a little before pressing record about beauty inside and out. And I think this is a good piggyback off of the happiness. if you want to share a little about what your book is about, why you wrote it, and maybe just enlighten us on that.
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you. So, I experience every day, people, I just I'll be out at the doctor's office or something. And then, I remember the other day, there was girls were admiring my nail polish. And I go, oh, look at my feet. And I lift my leg above the table, and they went, oh my God, that's great that you could do that. And I say, yeah, not bad for a 76-year-old, right? And then they just go, what? And then I said, well, if I wrote a book, would you want to read it? If I told you like my secrets and my beauties? And they go, where do we get it? When can we buy it? It's like, so, and that happens a lot. I go to a doctor's office, or I'm on the table and I go, okay, wait a minute. First of all, my gynecologist, she says, you have to tell me everything you do and what it is, because I need to know, because I don't believe you're this old. And so, I had this happen over and over, to the point where I said, I have to share this. Why? I can't keep this knowledge I have developed over my life inside of me, because it's not only, saving face has a double meaning. It's saving your face, yeah, but saving your face is your pride, your dignity, your goodness, like American Indian. I'm part Indian, American Indian. I know you guys say Native. I'm a Canadian, so we call American. Or now we have to say Aborigines. So I'm part Aborigine. And so, they always talk about saving face. So yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with saving their face. But so I thought that would be a good name for the book. And it's actually a journey through my life, from when I was a little girl and the things I experienced. And then as a teenager, I was a model, and I won a few little beauty contests, but, still miserable inside, not believing that I was even nice looking. I thought, oh, they just think I am. And so, then I almost became obsessed with, when I was like at 18 or 19, I don't want to look old when I'm old. What am I going to do? I got to start thinking about that now. So I started like studying older women and going, what's the first area to go? It's the eyes. The eyes are the first area. Oh, and then the neck. Okay. So let me go. And I got the best eye cream. So that was my first beauty tip, So then I put that use eye cream every night. So I started when I was 19 using eye cream every night. And I have to say, it really paid off. And then, I started studying in skincare and makeup, everything I could learn about. I became obsessed with aging, and I made this intention that when I got older, I would look 10 to 15 years younger than my age. And so I think intention is really important too, because, what you decide you want in your life, you can make it come true, because I'm living proof of that. But then along the way, my beauty tips became more spiritual, like, never give up. When I was writing my book, my coach kept saying, you know what you have, you are resilient. If I get knocked down, I get up again, and I think it's so important. We can't give up on life. There's lots of horrible things that happen to us in life, and we have to learn to go on. I read somewhere that there's 200,000 centenarians in the United States, and they did a survey to find out why these people all lived over 100. And they came up with 3 things they all had in common. And it wasn't diet or exercise, as everyone might think. So the 3 things they had in common was they all had a positive outlook on life. They all could accept loss in their life because they'd lost loved ones. And they all had hobbies, things they love to do. And that's the 3 things that, help people become centenarians. So I think that, for me, that I've incorporated that into my life. I have wonderful hobbies I like to do, and I have a positive outlook on life, and I'm going to be a centenarian.
Love it. Well, it's funny that you bring that up because I don't know if he was in your circle of friends, but through the summit, I interviewed someone for the show who was a doctor in geriatrics, and he went on and he wrote a book, and we talked on the show, and he goes and has lunch with the centenarians that are in his ecosystem to celebrate. Like that's kind of his specialty is dealing with that. So I love that you brought that up.
Yeah. I think, well, I just brought it up because of, being resilient and never giving up in life, and, having a positive attitude, smiling. I talk a lot about facial exercises, AEIOU every day, AEIOU. And then, shave, women, shave without a blade. Men don't age from here down, because they shave every day, and then, they blow their faces. So that's a great facial exercise, shaving, without the blade, of course. And then smiling takes 47 muscles to smile and only 7 to frown. So if you smile, it's good for your face. And it also, I find when I smile at people, they smile back. So, you can, anybody, you can smile at them. I have a little business. I work in a beauty salon with my jewelry, and I just smile at people all the time, and they immediately smile back.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Bring a little joy. Smiling makes you happy. It also makes you more beautiful, I think.
I agree. Yeah. Well, Miss Vicki, is there anything that I forgot to ask about that you would love to share before we end our wonderful call? Although I'm enjoying it so much.
Oh, thank you, Bobby. You're wonderful. I just really appreciate what you do. And I think the only thing I would like to leave with your audience is make somebody else happy. Help somebody that's suffering, and learn to be happy yourself, because it is your right. It is your right as a human being. And thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vicki.